So if you want to make an Ozi Explorer map from something that has no grid lines and no coordinates on it, as opposed to the previous one that we did with the grid lines and the UTM markings, I'll show you how to do that. We sort of alluded to it in the previous video when we were doing a check of the map, but I'll just go through it here with you. If you go to the same option, load and calibrate a map image, and I've just got a little park map that I picked up at the Grampians Info Centre, and it has all the information, the touristy stuff that you might like to have a look at, which can be quite handy when you're trying to find lookouts and huts and things like that, that may not necessarily be marked on your high resolution 25k map, for instance. So you can use this to actually navigate as well, but it's nice and handy to have it on the tablet. Now, it's got no grid lines or anything. It's just a straight JPEG scan copy. So what we need to do is the same as before. We've got the menu across to the right hand side, and we need to find our 4 points. So initially I'll click on point 1 up on the top right, and we'll put that. Now the best way to do this is to find a really good intersection, a road intersection. So let's take on the top left this one here on the corner of the Henty Highway, and then we'll go over to point 2, and point 2, as before, be somewhere over on the right up near the top. Again, we'll find a nice intersection. It's just a matter of, and of course this map, hopefully will be in scale, but we'll find that out when we do a test at the end of this. So we'll put number 2 up here on this corner of the Mount Drummond Road and the Western Highway, getting it as close as I can to the centre. I'll go down to the bottom and find a point for point number 3. There's an intersection there. Important too that you obviously can spot the names. This road here doesn't have a name on it, but given that shape, we should be able to find that on Google. And we go over to point 4, and we'll put one on the corner there of the Victoria Point Road and the Dunkeld Cavendish Road. Okay, so we've got 4 points in. I'll scroll back to point 1. Now obviously we need to add the coordinates. I've got Google Maps open at the Grampians National Park, so now it's a matter of just finding the coordinates of where we put our first mark. And if I scroll in a bit further and move over to the left, it was on the corner of this northeast Wonwonda Road and the Henty Highway right there. So I'm going to click on Google Maps, left click once, and go down to the coordinate markings. Again, if I click on those again, then a much easier method of doing it comes up on the left. We've got 36 degrees, 52 minutes and 37.2 seconds, then 142, 08 and 15.2. So just as we did before, we need to make a note of those measurements so that we can transpose them back into our Ozi Explorer. So we've got point 1 here. I'm going to put the latitude in, and it was 36 degrees, and it was 52 minutes, and it was 37.2 seconds. Now, as in the last video, we need the decimal reading. It doesn't have the box for seconds, so 37.2 seconds, quickly on the calculator, divided by 60 gives us 0.62. So 52.62, and 142.08. Probably don't need the 0, we'll just put the 8 point, and it's 15.2 seconds as a decimal of 60. So 15.2 divided by 60 is 0.25. And then we'll move to point 2, which is, and as before, when you click on point 2 up on the right, it moves the map across to where point 2 is, and it's corner of Mount Drummond Road and the Western Highway. So we go back to Google Maps, scroll out a bit, and then move across to this Western Highway and look for the Drummond Road intersection. Mount Drummond Road, there it is there. I'll come in as close as I feel we need to, and we'll left click on that corner. Sometimes it takes a couple of clicks. Left click on the amount, on the coordinates, and we've got, write it down again, 3658 and 3.8 seconds, and 142, 36 and 14.5. So we go back again to our map and we'll put it in 3658 point, and now it's only 3.8 seconds, so 3.8 divided by 60 is 0.6. So 0.6 and 142, 36, and it's 14.5 divided by 60 is 0.24. And we can move to 0.3. I'll pause the video here because 0.3 and 0.4 you've got to do exactly the same. Just find the coordinates on Google Maps. So I'll shortcut and scroll further forward, and we'll do the checking. So having done all 4 points the same, you can see the map on the side here. Now you've got 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 and 0.4. It's a similar situation from the other map. 4 is generally enough. You can always put a fifth one somewhere in the middle, but in here in this map you've got sort of some tracks, and I doubt whether the tracks are quite as accurate as the main roads would be when it comes to trying to find the locations on Google Maps. Anyway, so that's how that would look. All we have to do now, having got our 4 points in, is to hit save. It'll ask for a name. I've already got one there, I'll just overwrite it. And it now comes back to the actual map, as you would see it, normal map loaded in Ozi Explorer. And again, the cursor's moving around and the coordinates are moving up here. So what we really need to do, particularly with this one, is to make sure it's actually into some sort of scale that we can use. These maps, wouldn't be the greatest maps for actually navigating these tracks, and you'd have higher resolution maps to do that, but it does, if it's in scale and you can use it on your tablet, it can show you where you are in relation to the campground here at Boreang or the Reed Lookout, things like that. It's handy. So this is not probably a great map to do it, but I'm sure if you've got paper maps that don't have the markings on them, or there's one you wanted to put in there just for reference, it's quite easy to do. Now we'll do the checking exactly the same as we did before. If we go over to Google Maps, and I've gone into an area of the Grampians, so what we want to do is find a spot pretty much in the middle, as we did on the previous video. So there's the Grampians. Our 4 markings on our map are up here, top left, top right, and then bottom right and bottom left over here. So I've got a intersection of a road. Again, find an intersection somewhere, and what we've got is the intersection of the Grampians Road and Redmond Road. So I've put a marker there, and on the left hand side of the page you can see that it's 37 degrees, 13 minutes, 28.9, 142, 32 and 24.6. So we need to go over there and pretty much put a marker on that same spot. So as I did before, I like to drop a waypoint, so I just pick up a waypoint and put it anywhere on the map. Now I can edit that waypoint by editing the position, and in here we'll put in the degrees that we want. So it was 37 degrees 13 minutes and 29 seconds. So 29 divided by 60 is 0.48, and it was 142, 32, and it was 24 seconds. So 24 divided by 60 is 0.4, and I'll save that. So that's now the location for that waypoint. I'll increase the size so we can see it a bit easier here, and I'll just again change the color to yellow, and I'll move this away. Now if everything works properly, we hit save, that waypoint should pop up right on that corner, and there it is. So from that you know that the scaling is correct pretty much all the way across the map. and it can then be used for some sort of navigation, but more importantly to pick up all these little areas. So you've now got an Ozi Explorer map that you can use on your tablet, made from a paper map which has no grid lines or coordinate markings on it. The last thing I want to show you is I've been doing the calculations just with a calculator to convert the Google coordinates into a format that Ozi Explorer is happy with, but there is a website, it's called Geo Planner, and you can see the web address up the top here. I actually put it on the screen on the video, and it gives you the UTM, the latitude and longitude in decimal format, so Google, the way Google does it. Then it's got the way that Ozi Explorer would do it, with the degrees and minutes and then decimal of the minutes, and it's also got degrees, minutes and seconds. So you've got all the four options up here. You can see that I've plugged in a little marker down the bottom here, which is at the Grampians. Actually, it was one of those markers I used, and all I did to do that was put it up in here, put the coordinates direct from Google, the bottom of the Google Maps when you've got that digital display. Don't forget, see, it's got northing here, but you've got to, if you put a minus in front of the 37 in this case, it'll give you the right coordinates, and then it transposes them across. So instead of using the calculator, if you wanted to put them into Ozi Explorer using this, you can just directly put the Google readings in here and come over onto the right, and it'll give you the readings to put into Ozi Explorer. So it's just another little handy way of doing it, rather than tapping the calculator, which I was doing before. Hope that's been satisfactorily explained, and that you can get some of your paper maps up into Ozi Explorer and use them on the tracks.